What's up, YouTube gamers? It's your computer engineering gamer back with some fresh new content. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic released as the first Star Wars role-playing game based on the Dungeons & Dragons style of combat. There are many equipment items that were developed within the game for different playstyles with ranged, melee, and lightsaber combat. We are going to take a deep dive into the 5 special upgradable items that are available to purchase on the planets in the game. I will give my personal thoughts on whether they are worth the pricing in their respective shops, as well as their purpose and viability for each style of play. As a disclaimer, I will be evaluating the base game without Yavin Station, as it was originally downloadable content and not available on the original Xbox where KOTOR was released, only on PC. I played on the Xbox as a child, so I didn't realize the busted items on there existed until a couple years ago when I revisited the game downloading it on my Xbox One. But the items from Subam increase in power after collecting star maps, as well as being designed to be radically stronger than other items in the game, so it's not really necessary to evaluate them, at least in this video. First up is Sanasiki's blade. Found on Dantooine, purchased from Cassus Fett in the shop near the Ebon Hawk. The description reads, Sanasiki used this weapon to kill Nelanik, a Zabrak who assassinated the Yusanis High Protector with battle droids. Cortosis protects the blade against lightsaber sparring damage, while energy cells disrupts droid opponents. The weapon costs 7,000 credits and is considered in the Vibroblades category with a balanced +2 +0 in the offhand. The blade comes with a base damage of 3 to 12 physical piercing damage, a +3 to ion damage to droids, a critical threat range of 19 to 20 with an attack modifier of +2. When fully upgraded, the damage is increased by a range of 1 to 6 energy damage, so that the damage is on a range of 4 to 18 in total, with an additional +3 against droids. The critical threat range doubled with a new range of 17 to 20, a 20% critical chance. The attack modifier is increased from +2 to +4. This weapon has a wide range of utility. Its basis is of an offhanded weapon paired nicely with a lightsaber or other melee weapon that may not have the offhanding bonus. The trifecta of ion energy and physical damage will almost always ensure you are doing damage to the enemy regardless of having a shield on. Pair this with the widened range of critical with the critical strike skill will multiply the range by 4 so that there's an 80% chance to crit and have this chance to stun. The next purchasable melee weapon is on Tatooine in the docking bay. The Yusanis brand is a double-bladed melee weapon costing 8,000 credits and reads as, Yusanis was the most famous of Yusanis warriors, fighting against oppression and villainy until encountering Darth Revan. Discovering that Revan had killed an Yusanis senator, Yusanis attempted to tell authorities but fell to the powers of the Sith Lord despite his own impressive abilities and the Cortosis weave inherent in all Yusanis vibroblades. The base weapon does slashing physical damage with a range of 4 to 18, with +5 ion damage to droids. The critical threat range is the lowest with 20 to 20, so a 5% chance, and has a +2 attack bonus. After being fully upgraded, and the physical damage stays the same with an additional 1d4, or ion damage versus droids, and a +3 fire bonus damage. The critical threat is extended to 10%, and the attack modifier is increased to +3. Finally, a 50% chance for a 12-second stun is added with a DC of 10. Now let's see if I can do this correct statistics here. With a DC of 10, the enemy must make a will saving throw above 10, with a 45% chance of success without modifiers. Therefore, the brand has a 27.5% chance to stun on every hit. The weapon attacks twice normally with an approximate 47.5% chance to stun on a regular round where both attacks hit. You can pair this with Flurry and you will get 3 attacks per round, so if each attack hits, there is roughly a 62% chance to stun. Adding Master Speed will grant an additional 2 attacks per round, gaining you an even higher chance to cause a stun each round, roughly 72% without Flurry and 80% with a Flurry. Anyway, the Yusanis has a chance to stun, and now we move on to the ranged weapons. First up is Cassus Fett's pistol. Cassus Fett was rarely seen without this adaptable blaster. Famous for killing the captain of a flagship Republic frigate at the Battle of Jaga's Cluster, he is presumed dead. Found on the Sith planet of Korriban and sold by Bree for a whopping 10,000 credits, the only special upgradable pistol beyond Bendak's blaster and Karth's blaster grabbed on Taris. This blaster sports some exceptional blaster stats as a heavy pistol. The base pistol has a range of 4 to 11 energy damage with a +3 attack modifier and a critical threat range of 20 to 20, so 5%. There's a 25% chance to trigger a 6-second stun with a difficulty class of 10. I am not redoing the math, so check the previous calculations and plug in numbers where you think they fit. The fully upgraded blaster has a damage range of 6 to a massive 19 damage with an extended critical range of 19 to 20, a 10% chance. The attack modifier is increased to +5, so you are almost guaranteed to hit for massive damage if you have any dexterity. To put into perspective how good this blaster is, the closest another pistol gets to this damage is a Mandalorian heavy pistol with a maximum of 13 damage with a max roll and constant +2 physical. The only other blaster with a minimum of 6 damage in the game is the Sith Assassin pistol, received from Admiral Kareth on top at 9 damage. Jurgan Kalta's assault rifle is the first blaster rifle to purchase and can be found on Dantooine in the Jedi Enclave to the right after exiting the Ebon Hawk. The rifle can be purchased for 8,000 credits with a base damage of 1 to 8 energy and added ion damage of 1 to 6 against droids. Jurgan Kalta wanted to make a big noise in the galaxy. If it was the screams of his enemies, all the better. This weapon was his favorite because it shared his adaptability. The critical threat range is a 19 to 20, a 10% chance and an attack modifier of +3. The upgraded weapon has an increased damage from 2 to 12 energy and an added 1 to 4 physical piercing damage. The ion damage is increased to a range of 2 to 10 damage versus droids, and the attack modifier is +5. This weapon, like the Sanasiki blade, spouts 3 different types of damage and can therefore deal damage through energy or melee shields while whittling down the shield. Against droids, the weapon spouts a dangerous 5 to 26 damage with a 10% crit chance. To be blunt, it would absolutely shred through the first half of the Starforge and droid fight before encountering Bastila. However, against living creatures, it is reduced to 3 to 16 range, unlike the Sanasiki blade, which prioritizes main damage in melee, and ion is a small addition. The blaster is better than many, if not most, of the other blasters you will find out in the game, and excels in the endgame. The Jamoh Hogra carbine. The other rifle weapon in this carbine category of rifles, Jamoh Hogra carbine, exists in the Tatooine docking bay for a price of 9,000 credits. This was the weapon of mercenary Jamoh Hogra, and was supposed to protect him against the many enemies he earned in his lifetime. Hogra's skill did not match his potential, however, meaning he died. This weapon has a base 3 to 10 energy damage with a 1 to 4 physical piercing bonus damage. The carbine has a 10% crit range and an attack modifier of +2. Upon upgrading the weapon, the damage is increased to a range of 5 to 15 energy damage and a 2 to 8 physical bonus damage. The attack modifier is increased to a +5 with a minimum roll of 7 damage before any additions or criticals. This weapon features the most consistent damage with a still high ceiling of 23 damage. The damage is a mix of physical and energy, so once again, energy shields do not hold you from damaging your enemies with this blaster. Special note that located on Tatooine as well, there is a non-upgradable carbine, also made by Jurgan Kalta. Similar to the carbine and sold by Faza, this weapon rests slightly above the base carbine stats with a consistent damage for only half the price. So if you are tight on credits and running a blaster while looking for a decent and cheaper rifle, this could be an option. Unfortunately for you, heavy range weapon users out there are looking for an amazing repeater blaster. The only purchasable weapon for the category is on Yavin with Subam, so the only upgradable weapon in this category is Candras's heavy repeater. It is strange that they made this decision, although when I think about it, because every single type of weapon specialization got a purchasable weapon for single blade, double blade blaster, and even 2 rifles. I wonder if the carbines were originally supposed to be heavy specialization, but who knows. And why don't you let me know your thoughts down in the comments, what you think. So my overall thoughts on the weapons are first. The weapons are obviously better than your run-of-the-mill weapons you will find in the game that aren't directly tied to larger quest lines. Even then, those weapons from quests don't always stack up to these in damage and with the added bonus from the upgrades. The Sanasiki's blade is the cheapest of the weapons, and my belief is because it is not meant to be a main-handed weapon. The vibroblade is an off-handed weapon, and his weapon boasts a good spread of damage for extra +3 on our droids, and added damage being energy. This weapon pairs well with another weapon in the main hand. The damage is not the highest damage with a maximum of 18 base damage against all enemies. The weapon shines with its utility. The critical threat spread would pair especially well with a sneak attack and a critical strike build. Placing this in the offhand with a massive damage weapon in the main hand would work well to slice through enemies quickly and hope to stack critical hits against bosses. The Yusanis brand is a standalone, and if you are looking for a good weapon that handles smaller and tougher groups of enemies, this is an amazing choice. The cost is backed by the fact that you don't need another weapon. If you use double-bladed weapons, you can avoid using the dueling and 2-weapon feats and place your feats in other areas. Many people choose to go for Tatooine before many other planets, and if that is you, and you are building a scrappy melee fighter and want to have a 2-hit weapon with a crazy amount of stun chances and feat spread, this weapon is your choice. The Cassus Fett's pistol is one of the most expensive weapons. This is meant to be your main-handed blaster with no questions asked. There are a number of blasters that pair well with this, with the Mandalorian Heavy Blaster for damage, a Holdout Blaster for more stun chances, or Ion Blasters to counter droids. My personal choice was using Admiral Karath's blaster after you got off the Leviathan. Either way, this blaster pistol is the epitome of blaster damage output and utility, and is essential if you plan to use either blasters yourself or have Karth in your party for the entire game. The blaster would make Karth or yourself an absolute unit when it comes to the Leviathan, with its damage stats as a blaster, with stun chance made using rapid shots and essential feat. This blaster is absolutely not worth it in any case beyond this. The 10,000 credit price tag is enough to set you back almost all of the credits you earn on Dantooine and Taris together if you don't sell out any of your inventory. This should be a complete game investment, and it is made and essential for what a playthrough you are going for. I'm doing a range-only playthrough myself, and my main character is running blaster pistols featuring this, so make sure to subscribe and stick around for that future video. Jurgan Kalta's assault rifle is meant to be an adaptable weapon with the massive spread of ion damage meant to deal only with droids. However, in practice, the utility is hindered by the fact that droids are only half of the enemies in the game, and none of the boss fights for any of the planets. The Starforge would be the place this weapon shines the most, and is then cut off more by the fact that in the mix of droid enemies, you will be assaulted by waves of troopers and Dark Jedi for the second portion of it. The price point for this weapon makes sense for the actual utility of the weapon being able to reach a height of 26 damage on a high roll against a droid, but only 16 against other enemies. I would personally opt for a more consistent base damage weapon. Jamoh Hogra's carbine is the absolute turn to for a blaster rifle, hands down. There is not a two-handed blaster, heavy or not, in the game that can reach close to the damage potential, not counting the Yavin, of course. The fact that there's a cheaper version for half the price is a good option, but if you are working on having the best blaster user, I avidly urge you to save up and purchase this weapon. The minimum of 7 damage with a high 23 damage with a +5 attack bonus ensures you are going to hit your target and you are going to hit them hard. The unfortunate drawback for regular blasters is that they do not hit twice, unlike heavy blaster weapons. Pairing this weapon with Rapid Blast and you are using a Jedi class master speed, you will output an insane amount of damage per round and not have to worry about pairing a weapon like with blasters. Unfortunately, there are no other effects for this blaster, is purely meant to output damage. There's a regular 10% chance range for crit, so this is a regular damaging weapon to play around getting your damage in with no tricks. And that's my thoughts for all of the merchant special weapons in Knights of the Old Republic. If you like this video, you should check out my other video on how you can get all of the weapons on Taris upgraded and the upgrade items so you can buy these in your playthrough and have these weapons reach their max potential. And remember, a man is lost without the sauce, but that same man can get lost in the sauce. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Later, gamers.